They turned my barn into their secret clubhouse without permission, so I turned their green space into a truck stop. My family has farmed these 40 acres for 3 generations. When the economy got rough, I sold half the land to developers, but I kept the other 20 acres. Soon after, Meadowbrook Estates went up next door. 47 houses arranged in a neat circle around a manicured community green. The HOA called it their community heart. They built gazebos, a playground, and walking paths so their kids could experience country living without getting their shoes dirty. At first, everything was peaceful. My barn sat about 50 yards from their property line, and sometimes I'd see the residents walking, their designer dogs along the fence pointing at the barn like it was some kind of museum exhibit. I didn't mind until I noticed the cars. At first, it was 1 or 2 vehicles parked behind my barn on weekends. I assumed someone had broken down or needed a quiet spot for a while, but it kept happening. More and more luxury SUVs and sedans tucked behind the barn, always on Fridays and Saturdays. That's when I decided to investigate. I found a hole cut in my back fence and discovered that my barn had become their secret clubhouse. Inside were folding chairs, a card table, and a cooler for beer. They'd even strung up Christmas lights and run an extension cord from somewhere to power a space heater. They called themselves the Meadowbrook Men's Club, and they had been using my barn for 6 months without permission. I confronted their ringleader, a pharmaceutical salesman named Brad, who wore polo shirts like they were a military uniform. "Hey, we're not hurting anything," he said with that smug country club smile. "The barn was just sitting empty. We're actually improving the property." Improving it? They'd left beer bottles and cigarette butts all over my grandfather's workbench, moved my tools to the corner, and basically treated it like their personal man cave. I told them to clear out, fix my fence, and never come back. Brad just laughed. "Relax, be neighborly. We'll throw you a few bucks if it makes you feel better." A few bucks for trespassing. The next weekend, there were even more cars. I could hear music, shouting, and laughter coming from my own barn. That's when I remembered something important. I called every trucking company within 50 miles and made them an offer. Overnight parking at agricultural rates, $20 per truck, no questions asked. The very first night, 12 18-wheelers showed up. By the end of the week, my pasture looked like a truck stop. Semis, cattle trailers, delivery vans, and construction haulers rumbling in and out at all hours of the night. The sound of diesel engines became my new favorite music. Within days, my phone blew up. First Brad, then the HOA president, then their lawyer. "You're destroying our property values," Brad shouted. I reminded him that he and his buddies had been trespassing for months. "Funny how you didn't care about property values when you were squatting in my barn," I said. They offered to pay rent retroactively. I declined. My truck stop was perfectly legal and making me more money than farming ever did. Within 3 months, half the houses in Meadowbrook were up for sale. Turns out luxury buyers don't like air brakes at 2 a.m. Brad eventually moved away. Before leaving, he begged me to shut it down. "Sorry, Brad," told him, gesturing at the trucks lined up to pay for their spots. "Business is booming. Now, I make more money in 1 month of truck parking than I used to in a full year of farming." Hit like and subscribe for more karma-filled revenge tales.